Hello and welcome, CSRA. I'm your host, Henry Schaefer, for a new program we're doing here tonight in honor of Memorial Day. And I have several people here in the studio with me here. I have Bill Turner and Dana Turner here with me.
It's good to be here tonight.
Yeah, and that drum beat you had going, it got me riled up, Pastor. I'm
a
ready
good
to
one.
go.
That was a good one.
Sign me up. I'm ready to go.
It's in honor of Memorial Day, so we wanted to take the time today and just come up here this afternoon and just let everybody know how much we appreciate what all our first of all, I know it's not Veterans Day, so let's go ahead and make lay that down.
Right.
It was for the fallen men and women who have served this nation.
Yes.
It's for them, but I do want to at the same time let people know I do appreciate all those who are currently serving and all those who have served us and are still alive. I thank God for their service and all that they have done.
Yes.
And that would be appropriate in Veterans Day in November, when we honor them. But this is a little different day. This is a day when we honor those who have given their life all the way back to the Revolutionary War.
Yes.
For ultimate sacrifice.
For this country, the ultimate sacrifice. So let's go ahead. I think I've got this video up here. And so y'all go ahead and help me out here a little bit and tell everybody what we're doing here. And I'm going to get this video ready to run here.
Yeah, we just wanted to come out and do like a live program to honor our fallen and just to reiterate that this is for the fallen.
Absolutely.
And just show our appreciation for the sacrifices that they made so we could actually come out here and do this.
Not only them, but their families.
Yeah, especially the family. And nowadays, I mean, we're losing someone every day due to the war.
Especially from World War II, I think it's every day.
Right.
So,
we're losing people.
And it's just, I mean, when you look at the numbers, which we'll look at later on in the program, the numbers from...
The veterans, I mean, is what we're talking about.
The numbers, the casualties from each war, I mean, it's just...
It's staggering when you hear the amounts.
It's unreal.
Okay, we're going to go over that in just a little bit.
Yep.
That's right.
I got this video ready to run here. Now, you listen, we tell everybody you can tune in to Ustream, WUCC Ustream, and you can watch the video live. Look right on here in the studio. Look at everyone. Everybody wave over here
to the camera.
Camera,
That's
everybody.
Right.
Or Dana, go ahead and tell them about your Facebook page.
Well,
you
we're
got
here on
going
Facebook Live, and we've, this has gotten pretty popular here lately. We've got several people already in. Rhonda Hardin-Abatino, Sarah Johnson.
Hello, Sarah.
Steve Norsworthy. And some of them behind there I can't see, but yeah, they're watching us now. We're here in WCC Studios in New Wellington.
Amen.
Placing a tribute on this Memorial Day to our fallen heroes.
Awesome.
So thanks for listening in.
Okay, so let's go ahead and run this segment here. Okay. We're going to talk about the history of Memorial Day. You ready? Here we go.
The muffled drum's sad roll has beat the soldier's last tattoo. No more on life's parade shall meet that brave and fallen few. As we commemorate the 150th anniversary of the Civil War, we prepare to honor the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice on the battlefield. 3 years after the end of the Civil War in 1868, Decoration Day was founded as a time for the nation to come together to decorate the graves of veterans with flowers. The first official observance was held at Arlington National Cemetery. The ceremony took place on the veranda of Arlington Mansion and was attended by dignitaries such as General Ulysses S. Grant. Flowers were spread on both Union and Confederate graves in honor of the fallen heroes. The tradition of placing small American flags atop each grave began on this day as well. It was not until after World War I, however, that the day was expanded to honor those who died in all American wars. In 1966, President Lyndon Johnson declared that the official birthplace of Memorial Day be Waterloo, New York, where local Civil War veterans were honored in 1866, 100 years earlier. This was considered to be the first formal, ongoing, community-wide event. In 1971, Congress declared Memorial Day a national holiday and placed it on the last Monday in May. In December 2000, the National Moment of Remembrance Act was passed into law. This National Moment of Remembrance encourages all Americans to pause for a minute of silence to remember and honor those who have died in service to the nation. Back in 1868, General Logan advised his people to guard their graves with sacred vigilance, let no neglect, no ravages of time testify that we have forgotten the cost of a free and undivided republic.
Well, there you have it.
Okay. That snuck up on me. I thought it was going to be a little bit longer.
That's pretty good. Talks
Yeah,
about Memorial
that
Day. I like that part about where it talks about the National Moment Act.
Right.
That was passed to do 1 minute. You know, we had our program that we did. Now we don't do a Memorial Day program at the church, but we do I had a sermon. That we
took a moment of silence.
we took a moment of silence.
Right.
During that, I said at the end of the sermon, I said, let's take 1 moment of silence. We marked it one moment. And now I didn't know that was part of
Right.
what all that we did. Do you know what I mean? I said, this is
okay.
what we're going to do.
Right.
And we do 1 minute of it, but I didn't realize I was doing exactly
You was
what
doing
the
what
law
they say
says.
do, right.
Well, just now I wonder where they put that up at. Well, I guess wherever they have any federal government being involved
Right.
in honoring, they
Right,
do they
right.
do 1 minute.
They do 1 minute.
They do 1 minute of it. So anyway, that was pretty amazing. And then there are a lot of different things that are out there that people say about Memorial Day.
Right.
And they were talking about Decoration Day, starting back during the Civil War, at the
Right,
end of
with
the
the-
Civil
with
War,
the flowers.
with the flowers and all.
Mm-hmm.
And so when like we had our Memorial Day parade here in Aiken,
Yes, we did, and it was
And-
great.
That
and
was
we
this
had
past Saturday.
the radio station. We had a float in. They had well over 100 participants. How many did
I
you
think
say
it was
on that?
140.
140
I think it was
participants
140 participants in the parade.
that they had, and throughout the Aiken area, there's a lot of people who was there from everywhere, and I appreciate everybody here in Aiken who
'Cause I
honored.
said the crowd was good, right?
Oh, we
Man,
had
it
a
was
great
big.
crowd, yeah,
It was
and our
big.
float was awesome.
Yep.
The radio station float was really good.
So we had that who was there, but one of the things that really stuck out to me, now we're talking about the Confederate, the beginning of Decoration Day. Remember, we had some of our friends who was telling us
Right.
that they had the big battle flag that they were flying for the Confederate Army, and
Right.
they were telling us that it actually started, first started decorating the graves of Confederate. And Union,
And Union, that's
people
right, that's
together,
right.
and it went on from there. So it was something that they started. So they were honoring our Confederate soldiers here as well.
Right.
So this is just not the Union or such. It's even honoring our Confederate.
Yes, it goes all the way back. That's
because
right.
they gave their life as far as on this
And
country as well.
And talking about the Civil War, did a little research, and of course it was from 1861 to 1865. We lost approximate total of 750,000 U.S. citizens. 750,000.
In the which war now?
That's a Civil War.
The Civil War.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
750 brothers and sisters and all.
Wow.
That was on average 420 a day for the 4 years that it happened. I mean,
That's a lot.
that's
yes.
420 people every day for 4 years. That's
Wow,
just
it's a lot,
unreal.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just unreal. The war effort of this country.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're a fighting country, which is fine, and 9 times out of 10 we don't fight unless someone throws the first punch, and we usually finish it. So
talking about a parade that we was in Saturday, it done my heart good to see all these people line the streets, waving the American flag, and the patriotism that the city of Aiken and
Yeah,
all
that's
those that
awesome.
came around felt. It was amazing to me, and coming from being a mom of a son that was
Veteran.
in the Air Force and the Army, and a husband that was in the Air Force, and a
Amen.
father-in-law that was in the Army.
mhm.
It means something to me when you think about the patriotism, and I mean, because
And with you mentioned him, my father. Of course, he was Bill Turner Sr. Now, past week, I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but President Obama went to Japan, and they were afraid that he would apologize for us dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He did not do that, but now it held special meaning to me. I was actually praying that he would not apologize for that, because when my father was in the Army, he was either going to be in the invasion force to invade the mainland of Japan, or he was going to be in the occupation forces. When they dropped the bomb and Japan surrendered, that switched him over to the occupation.
right,
You can survive in an occupation force because there's usually no fighting. You're just collecting enemies' weapons and such. So I was grateful that they
Yeah, you
had
wouldn't
a
be
bomb
here,
that they had a bomb to correct that situation the way they did. So, and it saved countless lives, especially U.S. lives, because they were preparing to lose 500,000 because of the way the Japanese fought. Because they were actually fighting for their god, which was their emperor. They believed he to be a deity, walking the face of the earth, and they found out that was not correct. So, anyway. I'm grateful
he's
for
going
the
off
bomb.
on his history
Yeah,
stuff.
'cause-
He's
well,
studying
it
all
just
this
saved-
history.
it
But,
saved lives.
one thing is that I recognize in that realizes that Fran's dad, that's my wife's her father, my father-in-law. He served in World War II, the Vietnam War, and the Korean War. So
Right.
he served in three. I mean, he just
Right,
didn't
three
go
wars.
in.
Right.
He fought in all three of
three,
them. I mean, in combat. And one of the things when you talk about World War II, I think he was like 15 years old when
Wow.
he went in because he wanted to go in and fight. So when you talk about going in, those people, now he's passed away now. Some time ago he passed away.
Right.
But when you're talking about going over to Japan and being concerned about whether they're going to ask for their forgiveness or
Right.
we
Right.
apologize for what we done. I know he wouldn't have.
No.
Right.
I know I know that man, and I know how he even though that they surrendered and all this stuff, there's something that's inbred in that person when they are at war with another country.
Right.
Do you know, I mean, it might be easy for you and me
Right.
to say, well, they don't understand, but when you're and their bullets are flying around you,
Right.
and it's of a different, nationality. I mean, it's a whole lot different.
It's different.
Going to Iraq and Afghanistan and then coming back and saying, well, your boys should be over too, should be doing anything. That's a whole lot different.
Right.
And it's a whole lot
Right.
different mindset.
That's exactly right.
Fighting and coming back.
I mean,
And-
because up the day my father died, he would not sit in a Datsun or Toyota
see.
or anything like that. He just refused to do that. So
And I do want to give honor to it was Staff Sergeant Lewis H. Wiles was his name, and he was a great man that served the Army, and that was his life.
Right.
And we honor him in that, and those who are out there, we're going to give you an opportunity here in a little bit.
Yes.
Open the phone lines up, but you call in and drop their name as well.
Now that was Fran's father, and he was in World War II. Now World War II, we lost. It was from 41 to 45.
That's right.
405,399.
That's what I got right here. The
Right.
casualties. Exactly.
Wow.
That's 297 people a day.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, you take that and then you add the Korean War, which
Yeah.
was from 50 to 53.
Right.
All right, 54,246. Once again, that's approximate. That's 45 people a day. All right, then Vietnam War, 61 to 75. Got 58,209, which is 11 a day. So you're talking 360 some odd people a day for those three conflicts in a span of 41 to 75. So that's just, it's just unreal to me.
Do we have any numbers on how many lives have been lost during Iraq and the
Yes.
Iraq and Afghanistan war
Yep.
and all that?
Desert Shield.
2001 to present. 6,717. It's been
That's what I
averaging,
got, something like that.
Wow, okay.
Averaging
All right.
1.5 per day. Now, what I thought was not funny by no means, but just interesting, is the American. Well, I don't have the Revolution. Yeah, American Revolutionary War from 1775 to 1783. That's where we fought for our freedom. We only lost approximately 25,000.
25,000. Okay.
For our battle. We fought a superpower. A bunch of farmers with a little musket.
That was for our freedom, right?
Took on a superpower, and we only lost 25,000. I wish I had the amount that England lost, because I guarantee it was more than 25,000.
Right.
So, and that's average of 11 a day, which, based on what we did, we fought for our freedom in this country, and that wasn't a big sacrifice. Now, compared to our population, it was a huge sacrifice.
Huge.
But in today's numbers, okay, You know, the Civil War is really what blew me away. The amount of deaths from that. It's just when you think back, especially on today, the ultimate sacrifice has been paid for this country, and that's why I get very irate about these politicians doing what they're doing to this wonderful country that I served for. And I'm getting on the tangent, so y'all go ahead.
That's right. Oh my goodness.
Well, just go ahead and you're listening to Bill Turner. For those who were just tuning in,
Right.
Bill Turner, Dana Turner, she's here in the studio with me, and I'm Henry Schaefer, your host. You're listening to a special program here tonight on WUCC. We're talking about Memorial Day, a tribute to Memorial Day, and we've given showed a video about how it started, you know, where it came from and things like that. But going back to Bill, Bill, you served as well. Tell us about your service.
Well, I was in the United States Air Force. I was part of the fuel. I refueled the jet aircraft. Of course, I saw no battle because we didn't have any. It was during the Reagan era, so we didn't have any wars because I knew Reagan would bring it. But now I took an oath to die for my country if I had to. So, and that's what I was. I would have done it gladly.
Foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic.
You think we got any domestic going on now?
I think we do.
Absolutely. Washington D.C. is loaded with them.
Yeah.
You know, both my boys, Michael and Kyle, both served in the military. Michael was in the Army for 4 years, and my son Kyle was in the Air Force, and he went to Iraq. And I remember the whole time he was over there thinking, you know, just praying for God to protect him and bring him back home safely. But he told me some of the things that went on once he got home that he couldn't tell me while he was there. And every time now I see a boy in uniform or whatever, my heart goes out to the mother and the families and those that have gave their lives, the young ones that went over there with pregnant wives and never got to see them, never got to make it back home.
Right.
Or made it back home mangled or whatever, you know. And it really does something to me when I think about our military and how all these young boys are so willing to give all. I remember when Kyle was sworn in, he told me, he said, Mom, I've never felt more proud than when they swore us in. I believe it was at Fort Jackson in Columbia where they take them, the initial swearing in. He said, I've never felt so proud to be an American.
Yeah, that's when they won't let you off the bus.
Right.
They got you then.
But I'm thankful to him and all his buddies that we got to meet along the way and that have served and all. And I realized that today is about those that have fallen and given their lives.
Right.
But, you know, those that are over there now are giving their lives.
And they're taking a chance.
Away from their families.
Right. We are still at war.
And so I'm just thankful for all of our military.
Yeah, because you don't realize it when you're in a foreign land. I mean, you stick out like a sore thumb anyway. And then you have bullets, you know, zinging past you. I mean, it's just, I feel for them so much. And that's why when I see them here in Aiken, I shake the hand and tell them that I'm proud of them.
That's right.
And because I'm a firm believer in honoring the vets, they should be, especially the ones that survived and came home.
That's right.
We should take care of them before anybody.
The day my son's plane landed back at Shaw Air Force Base after him being gone was one of the happiest days of my life when he walked off that plane.
Yeah,
I was very proud of him for his 6 years of service. He made it to staff sergeant.
And our daughter-in-law.
And our daughter-in-law was
She's a
also,
veteran.
and she's a veteran. She was in the Air Force.
She's tough as nails. Tough as nails.
And so I'm just thankful for all our military.
Amen.
All of them.
And I'm proud to say I've done some family research, and there was a member of my family in every conflict that we've had since the beginning of this great country. The initial conflict, he was on the wrong side, but that's all good. He switched up mid-war, so it was all good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I just know mine is in the Confederate services.
Right.
Yeah, buried down here in Augusta, and some people don't consider that a war. They really look down on what the Confederates did.
Right.
But you got to realize that they were American citizens as well.
That's right.
Who gave up their life for what they believed in, fighting a war.
Right, and they were fighting for something that they believed in. And actually, it was kind of similar to what we got going on now, government control. You can, say it was about racism or slavery and all, but it was all about government control.
Yeah,
The
you
government
know,
was
just
trying to
like-
tell them what to do.
We were down here at the
Memorial Day
Aiken Day
Parade.
Memorial Parade, and they had the big Confederate flag and all that they were traveling down through there with, and I do not see it as what it's portrayed.
Right.
Right. In the newspaper and standing at the courthouse steps of something being racist or anything. I don't see it like that.
Right.
But it's like those who have an agenda, they do.
Right.
But I look at it is that these are some of my family, and that were fighting for what they believed in, and whether or not, I don't, and I'm not racist at all. I mean, you got to look at my family.
Right.
Right.
You got to realize that has nothing to do with that, but
Right.
it's something that, something very much to be proud of.
Yeah, and I don't see it as racist either, but at the same time, I see no sense in it flying over our state house. It should be in a memorial park or a museum about the Civil War battles. And that's just my feeling. I don't think it should be on the State House because we're Americans. It should be the American flag and the South Carolina flag, period.
Well,
and
I think
that's-
you can make an agenda out of anything you
Yeah.
want to.
And that's just,
If you
that's the way
Sure.
I feel.
You look hard enough, so.
Well,
mean,
some
museum
of
piece.
you're talking about the State House flags. Many are making it so that you can't fly the American flag nowhere.
That's exactly right.
Right.
That's
So
what they're trying for.
That's what
Right.
they're trying to get.
Uh-huh.
And so, because you have a lot of the foreign students who are coming out, I'm getting ready to do my preaching part, that are coming
There you go.
into all our higher educational learning
Mm-hmm.
Platforms and feel like they are threatened because of the flag that's flying. I'm going, yeah, it does threaten everybody a little bit. Still up for
Well, I mean, you come here, you're in America.
Oh, go home.
Amen.
You're in
Exactly.
America.
Exactly
You come
right.
here to study, you're in America. And that's,
But I'm
And-
proud of our country.
I'm proud of our
I
country,
am proud
too.
of America.
Well, and people are probably listening saying, well, what's this got to do with Memorial Day? Well, the people in the past that have fallen for this country gave those people a right to come over here and say something about our flag.
Right.
Now, I get very perturbed when I see if I ever walk up on somebody stomping on the flag, burning the flag, they're going to get everything I got, be it a taser, be it lead, be it whatever.
Listen, when you've been in the military, that flag's a
I mean,
serious
you do not-
business.
yeah,
Yes.
You do not do that. And please don't do it in front of me because
Yeah.
if I got my gun, you're gonna get shot.
Well, I know Fran's dad, again, Lewis H. Wiles, I mean, he was serious about the flag.
Right.
He was serious about keeping his flag up, keeping it
Amen.
pretty, keeping it going like that. And, he didn't agree with everything coming
And
out
I
of
didn't
Washington,
know that
D.C.
you weren't supposed to let it touch the ground.
Oh, no.
I mean, see, I
No.
didn't know all
No.
that. I've just recently learned some
Certain
of this
way to
stuff.
do
I'm-
it.
Yeah.
So,
and,
go
and
ahead.
when you take the flag down and it's tattered and no longer in service, you have to burn it.
Supposed to burn it, yeah.
Yeah,
Take it to a
so-
place to be burnt.
Wow. Okay. All
But
right.
yeah, it never touches the ground.
But there is a flag etiquette. Maybe one day we'll get to do, when we do our 4th of July program, we'll do our
Right.
flag etiquette.
or we could
and
do it
things
on
like that.
Flag Day.
Flag Day.
Don't they
That's
have
when they
Flag
Day?
replace their flags and all.
Right. So,
Yeah, take down your old one, bring up your new ones.
Right.
Yep,
Awesome.
there you go.
good stuff.
So listen, what we're talking about, there is etiquette in doing all these things. Let's talk about how our soldiers are memorialized. They are
Okay.
memorialized. Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. And
Amen.
as it was today, our president went and laid the wreath for our nation in honor of all those who have given their life. So it's called the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Right.
There in Arlington Cemetery, and there are certain things that they do while they're there. So I want y'all have some information you want to share
Well, I
about
do.
that.
You
Then
want
I'm
me
going
to-
to tell you about I'll tell you about the how they walk and everything.
Okay,
go
you
ahead.
tell me about that. I'm just going to talk. I'm going to talk to you about the dedication it takes to even be a soldier to guard the tombs. It says that let's see, they change every 30 minutes. But in order, it says, what are the physical traits of the guard limited to? It says, for a person to apply for guard duty at the tomb, he must be between 5'10" and 6'2", and his waist size cannot exceed 30 inches.
That's discriminatory.
They must
Yeah.
commit 2 years of their life to guard the tomb, live in a barracks underneath the tomb, and cannot drink any alcohol on or off duty for the rest of their lives. They cannot swear in public for the rest of their lives and cannot disgrace the uniform or the tomb in any way.
Until they die.
After 2 years, the guard is given a wreath pin that is worn on their lapel, signifying they served as a guard of the tomb. There are only 400 presently worn. The guard must obey these rules for the rest of their lives or give up the wreath pin. The shoes are specially made with very thick soles to keep the heat and cold from their feet, and there are metal heel plates to extend to the top of the shoes in order to make the loud click as they come to a halt. And it talks about their uniforms. It says that there's no folds or lint on their uniforms. They dress for duty in a full-length mirror, and the first 6 months of duty, a guard cannot talk to anyone nor watch TV at all. All off-duty time is spent studying the 175 notable people laid to rest in Arlington National Cemetery. A guard must memorize who they are and where they are interred. Among the notables are President Taft, Joe Louis, the boxer, Medal of Honor winner Audie L. Murphy, the most decorated soldier of World War II and of Hollywood fame.
Wow.
And it says that every guard spends 5 hours a day getting his uniform ready for guard duty.
So they just don't march back and forth. For
There's
a
a lot
minutes.
more to it than that, you know. When I read that, I was like, wow.
And you know, a civilian or even a veteran might be thinking, "Whew, that's
That's a
too
lot.
much for me." But they look at it as the highest honor that you could do for your country.
Well, you know, one thing I like about it when you talk about guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier, there are people who have given their life that the remains they don't know.
They don't know.
They don't
That's
know
right.
who they are, where they came from, so their remains are placed there in the tomb of the unknown soldier, and they're guarded, just as if you know, they were there and they were being protected of their grave, because they don't know whose grave
Right,
they're protecting.
Yeah, because not too long ago they found out who was in there. They found out who the remains belonged to, and they took the remains and changed them out. With
Yeah,
another
because I
unknown.
guess what you know,
Right.
if they'd
That's
had that DNA testing like
Right.
they had in the
Yes.
past, they could have
Yeah.
done a lot of
Well,
those
you know what I
things.
thought was interesting was in 2003, as Hurricane Isabel was approaching Washington D.C.,
Yeah,
it
this is
says
awesome.
that the U.S. Senate and House took 2 days off with anticipation of the storm. And on the ABC Evening News, it was reported that because of the dangers from the hurricane, the military members assigned to the duty of guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier were given permission to suspend their assignment. They respectfully declined the offer. Said, "No way, sir." Soaked to the skin, marching in the pelting rain of a tropical storm, they said that guarding the tomb was not just an assignment, but it was the highest honor that can be afforded to a service person. The tomb has been patrolled continuously 24/7 since 1930.
Wow,
That's
ain't that
just
something?
unreal.
1930.
I see stuff like that makes me tear up.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
you know,
amazing.
and one thing I learned about it when we were talking about the tomb of the unknown soldiers, that the one that's walking the mat, the man that's walking the mat, it says that the soldier walking the mat does not wear a rank insignia, so as not to outrank any of the unknowns. Whatever their rank may be, non-commissioned officers, usually the relief commander, assistant relief commanders, do wear insignia on their rank when changing the guard only. They have a separate uniform without rank that is worn when they actually guard the unknowns or as they're posted. But they have
Wow.
no rank because they don't know who they're guarding. So
Right,
they say,
right.
we will not outrank you. We're lower than you. And the
Right.
duties of the sentinels are not just purely ceremonial. The sentinels will confront people who cross the barriers.
Yes.
If you at the tomb there and you're disrespectful, now while y'all talk about that, give me a moment. I'm gonna try to pull up the video
That one.
that I showed where he
Yes.
called out and he says, "You got to be quiet."
Respectful,
Here. So y'all
yes.
go ahead and talk about that.
Okay.
In a moment.
Because I think they got live ammo too, I believe.
The thing that amazes me is they said that they change out the guards every 30 minutes. So now you've got 24 hours in a day. And all these guards live in the
Underneath.
barracks underneath the tomb
May they give up their life for 2 years.
for 2 years to do that and consider it the highest honor. But not only for their 2 years, really, it changes the rest of their life.
Yeah, right. I mean, it affects them until
For
the
the
day
rest
they
of their
die.
life if they want to continue to be able
and
to
if
wear
it-
their pin.
And if you notice, the first thing they take from you is you can't speak and you can't watch TV.
Okay,
Right.
here we go. I think I've got it ready to go. Let
You
me
got
get
it?
the sound
Okay,
up right
let's
here.
see. Let me see. I'm
Yeah,
going to
he's
turn this
guard-
to see
he's
if y'all
guarding.
can see it.
And they're very loud.
If you can see it or not.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, is he over with? Must be over with. Here we go. There you go.
It is requested that all visitors maintain an atmosphere of silence and respect at all times.
Well, he got that gun out there too.
In other words,
So when you go there, you observe it in silence.
In silence, be
In
quiet.
silence.
They were there, and there was a lot of loud speaking and things like that. So
one
he,
fella whistling too. I mean,
yeah, they got quiet after he
Yeah,
said
can you
that. So you can get this on
think
on
that baby
YouTube,
even-
Atonement of the Unknown Soldier, and it says guard calls out to crowd. It's got over 1,300,000 views.
Wow,
On
yeah.
that right there, and got 2,200. Well, it got 2,300 likes. So that's pretty good, and it got 120 people who don't like it.
Wonder who they are.
Don't like it.
Didn't like
Yeah.
it. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I mean,
people
just
like
tell you what's all here. So you
Right,
got,
what's on the
yeah, got
you
a
can
million.
go to YouTube and find that yourself. That's right.
Yep, they might have been the one in the crowd he was talking to.
Right.
He said, "No, I didn't like that.
No, I didn't
I didn't like that." You know, so
He hurt my feelings.
yeah. So, but anyway, I mean, so this is really good. So let's talk about the soldier as well. You talked about the shoes he had. Tell me, do you remember
Right.
the shoes?
Well, they just said that the shoes were made specifically. Hold on just a second. I'll get a pull back up. They were made specifically with a
Thicker.
metal.
Yeah.
It says they're thicker, and let's
thicker
see.
sole,
It
and
was
they
a
have
metal. Let's see if I can find it.
They have a
They're made with very thick soles to keep the heat and the cold from their feet. They are metal heel plates that extend to the top of the shoe in order to make the loud click as they come to a halt.
now about those heel plates. When I was in basic training, our drill instructors had those same plates, so you could hear them coming. You know, it was like click, click, click. And
So they
if
would
it
be
was
intimidating.
right. If it was going slow, you knew you was all right. But if it was click, 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 click,
I wonder if that's where the taps and all that came from back in the day.
I don't
The
know.
horseshoe
but
tap. Remember the horseshoe
I
taps you
still
used to
have,
have on shoes?
I still have flashbacks when I hear that.
Yeah. Huh. Let's talk about the walking of the mat at
Okay.
the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. There's a meticulous routine that they have when he walks that mat. So here's what. Well, first of all, the mat's changed out twice a year.
Right,
Because
right.
it gets worn out
I can
walking
imagine.
back and forth, and the steps in the mat where they place their feet are so precise that they wear that mat in footsteps right across. They know exactly where they're at. So there's a routine that the guard follows when watching over the graves. The tomb guard, he marches 21 steps south down the black mat laid across the tomb. He turns and faces east toward the tomb, and he pauses for 21 seconds. He turns and faces north, changes weapon to shoulder the arm, to outside shoulder, and then he waits 21 seconds. He marches 21 steps down the mat. He turns and faces east for 21 seconds. And he turns and faces south, changes the weapon to the outside shoulder, and he waits 21 seconds. He repeats the routine until the soldier is relieved for duty at the changing of the guard. So it's amazing. And they do the 21-second wait and the 21 steps, the march, that he does 21 paces for the highest number. The number means something in the military as giving every one of those as a 21 gun salute.
Right.
For
It
everyone.
says
On
it
that-
alludes to the 21 gun salute, which is the highest honor given any military or foreign dignitary.
Right.
And on that 21 second, I had a cousin that went up there and timed, I think, 2 or 3 of them. I think it was 2. And they were just as accurate as his digital watch was.
Yeah.
As far as counting,
That's
because
amazing.
they're counting in the head, 1,001, or 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, whatever they standard they use is just as accurate as his digital.
Man, it makes you
watch.
proud to be a part of a country
Amen.
that does that, and knowing that in cold, like right now,
Right.
they're there doing it.
Absolutely.
When we're asleep at night,
They're
they're
doing
still
it.
guarding it.
Right.
In rain, snow, sleet,
Hurricane.
hurricanes,
Right.
tornadoes. It doesn't matter.
Right.
They're guarding that tomb, and the thing is that they do some changing. I think they do it. What is it? Was it every 30 minutes?
They change guards every 30 minutes,
30
24 hours a day.
Now there were some times that they do when they change. When what I read on some things on it is that when they go to sleep, there's a longer shift
Oh,
that
okay.
they work
Okay.
up in that. But when it's hot, middle of the day, all that they're doing, they do frequent changes
Right.
so that they can be rested and not. See, that's not bad for 30 minutes.
Right.
To be able to. I mean, it's still a lot. Yeah. I mean, you're
that
marching.
sounds like a lot to
yeah,
me.
but 30
And
minutes.
you're not off. I mean,
Right.
these fellas can't, after their 30-minute shift, go to Walmart and pick up
Right.
something.
Yeah, they're not off. And it says that they also carry their rifle on the shoulder opposite, facing away from the tomb.
But
It's
the match
always
changed out
towards-
2 days.
It's always towards
Memorial
harm's
Day
way.
and on Veterans Day is when it's changed out before those days.
Okay.
When they do that, it's required because the wear of the rubber mat and the special shoes that are worn by the tomb guards.
I bet if they didn't have that mat, they'd already worn that, like concrete or granite or whatever it
Right.
is, down too, with all the walking on.
Wow, it's amazing.
That is amazing
So they
to
do
me.
the changing of the guard, how they do it. And
Now, on
everything.
that note, watching Jeopardy, that was the final question. How many steps does
Yeah,
the
that was the final
guard
question.
of the
That's where we
unknown
was
soul-
getting some of this from.
Uh,
It said
these
that
are,
out of all
you know-
three of them, none of them knew the answer.
Right.
I shared all this Sunday
Right.
when we did our Memorial Day tribute about how that in the Bible that they set up memorials
Yes.
in the scriptures when Joshua was in the was getting ready to die. He was around 110 years old, and he set a big stone up right on the outside under an oak tree outside of the sanctuary of the Lord. And it was there, he says, God forbid that any of us should serve any other gods. And they said, we will not serve any other gods. And he says, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And you got to
Amen.
realize this guy's getting ready to die.
Right.
And he's saying that.
Right.
It's not like he's just getting married, so we're going to serve the Lord.
Right.
He's saying this, and he's getting ready to die.
At the end
and
of
he
his-
says, let this stone be a memorial that when you get to this point that you remember your covenant you made with God.
Right.
And that's what I think it is with the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers, that there are memorials that are set up. And here is one that our nation has set up. Whether or not you believe in war or not, whether or not our president or any of our presidents believe in war, but the military knows what they have given up, the ultimate sacrifice.
Right.
And this is a memorial that's set up. So it should remind us that when we go there, the cost of freedom. And when I think about our freedom, I can't say it enough, is that I believe that our country is founded on the Judeo-value Christians system, on the Judeo-values, Christian values, and that because of that is God, we have a unique bond and tie with Israel. When you
Right.
go and look over our Supreme Court, you'll see Moses sitting there with the 10 Commandments.
Right.
You'll see how,
Right now.
yeah, you'll see how all this here plays into who we are. No matter how mixed up we are, that there is a fabric, there's a foundation that we're under and that we have. And I think if we're supposed to remember that those people who have given their life up for not Islam, listen, not for Islam,
Right.
not for a communism,
Right.
not for all this, but it is for what our country was founded on, what our founding fathers said it was. And they got down, and there are certain ones that prayed and said, God, we need to know how to put this country together. How do we make it so it's going to be held together? Go back and read all our documents that it is in there. You'll see that there.
Right.
And I look back, I remember those kind of things.
Right.
Right.
I don't remember where it tells us that God has given us the unalienable rights to freedom, to live, to be happy. You know, that, we talked about happiness.
Right.
Is that He has given us to be happy, happiness, the pursuit of happiness in following God and doing the things that are right, not to be separated from God.
From Him, that's
not to
right.
be separated from Him or His care or to get out here and do anything that you want. That's not what
That's
the
not what-
unalienable rights that come
Right.
from God does. Those unalienable rights that comes from God is not for that. But if you have the freedom to be able to choose to serve your God
That's
the
right.
way that you want to serve Him. Mm-hmm. Now, you understand what I mean? So I look at those that's just me, because you say, well, you're a Christian and those kind of things. Those who come to this country that come from a foreign land, they just open the borders up, let them come anywhere, and don't even learn a language, don't even learn our culture, doesn't learn anything about us. It's not like they're immigrants coming in illegally. You understand what I mean?
Right.
There's a process. And if I was going to be leaving here to go to a certain place, and I go in to learn their culture, to learn what is acceptable, what is right, and I'm not going to Iran to change Iran to what I believe.
Right.
I'm going there. If I'm going to go live there, I'm going there because I like what it stands for. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to learn their culture. I'm going to make sure I don't.
Absolutely.
You understand what I mean?
Right,
I'm
yeah.
not going there
Yes.
to change Iran to me.
Yeah, but they don't feel that way.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, is that our problem is that those people who have died for our country I believe my take on this here is so that we have certain values. We have certain things that we believe in, and they gave up their life for that to be able to happen. But because of the liberties and the political correctness that we have allowed, we're losing. We're losing generation after generation. We're losing. You make a copy of a copy of a copy, and then you
Eventually
lose the original intent and meaning of that copy. So, man, this line's not even here no more. What is this thing I just made a copy of?
Right.
And that's what happens in that. So anyway, but I am so thankful that we are
Yes.
part of where we're talking about. You're listening to WCC 99.9 FM. I'm your host here tonight, Henry Schaefer. I have in the studio here with me Bill Turner, Dana Turner. It's good to have y'all with us
Amen.
good to be
as
here.
well. And
Glad
this
we
is
get to
our
do this on
memorial
Memorial Day.
tribute
Yes, it is.
this year. And so let's talk about, we talked about the changing of the guards.
Yes.
And we talked about how they did different things. So let's open the phone lines up just for a few minutes. Let some people call
See
in
if
and
anybody wants to give us a call.
give us a comment, comment, make it short. Like Bill O'Reilly says, keep it pithy when you call in. You can opine if you like. This is your time to opine.
You gonna give them the number, Pastor?
803-335-3131. Go ahead and give it again for me, sister.
803-335-3131. Give us a call.
Call in. Got a name of someone you like to honor here tonight?
Amen. That's what I'd like to hear.
This is Memorial Day in honor of those who have given their life. Go ahead and tell us a little brief story if you like.
That's right.
Your time to opine, as Augustus Washington says, he calls it to chime in.
To chime in. It's time to
I
chime
call
in.
it. I say it is time to opine.
That's right. Well, while we're waiting for a
give me
second,
your opinion.
Our Facebook family here, Kathy Geddes, thank you for watching us, Kathy. Savannah Campbell.
Savannah
And
got a couple
Savannah.
comments.
Yeah, she's got a comment on there talking about they had a ceremony
Somebody had a ceremony burning the flag.
And,
Yeah.
to symbolize their retirement. They would have been retired if I'd
we've
walked
had,
by.
let's see, Rhonda Ederle, Vicki Henson, Michelle Watson,
Hey, Michelle.
Rachel Soto, Lori Chavis,
Wow.
Thomas, Keith
Wow.
Tapley, Steve Northworthy.
Oh, here we go. We got one.
Northworthy. Oh, we got a phone call.
Hey, caller, you are live and on the air. Got a comment, got a question. This is your time to opine.
Good evening, Pastor Shaker. Good
Hello.
evening, Sister Dana. Brother
Hi,
Joe.
Sandy.
Hey.
How are you? Happy Memorial Day.
Happy
Happy
Memorial
anyone
Day.
Who
How-
lost a loved one in the military? I'm calling because I am just in awe of the changing of the guard. I myself have been to Washington, D.C., but did not go.
Didn't get to see that.
But I did not see that, and now I consider it a great loss to me. But thank you, Pastor, for bringing that forward for everyone.
Amen.
I have a story. It's a little one, and I'll try to be pithy, Bill.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Keep it pithy. Keep it pithy.
Well, I have to preface it by saying I just had my 67th birthday. So my parents, of course, have passed on, and this is about my father and his brother. And my father, I have a photograph, a newspaper photograph of my father along with 6 other young men, and I have to say he was a handsome young man, being sworn in 3 hours after the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yeah. Along with
wow.
thousands
Okay.
of others.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
they
And,
ran to the enlistment buildings.
They ran
Yeah.
to be enlisted. And I was very proud of that. And he was very patriotic. My father instilled great patriotism in me. And his brother, there was an episode, Bill, you probably remember this. There were 5 brothers from a family
Yeah,
named
some
the
Murphy.
Sullivans.
Yeah, the Sullivans. Yep.
Yeah,
That's Sullivan's Law.
They-
Yeah.
That's right. And they were all on the same battleship, I think.
Yep.
Or destroyer, Bill, one of the two.
I think it was a
And,
destroyer.
Right. And they were all killed when the destroyer was attacked.
Yeah.
And that's where the law came that you can't have brothers all on the same ship.
Yeah.
You have to spread them out so the family line does not get
Right, because they lost.
taken out.
Yeah, their family lost all
Wow.
the males in
All
the
5
family.
of them.
Yeah, the law, I believe it actually states that they have to be in separate fields of battle. So Like
Right.
if you like in that time, one could be in Germany and one could be in Japan or the Pacific theater. So
Right.
they couldn't
That's
all
right.
be together anymore because the brothers, the Sullivan brothers, were all close and they wanted to be together so they could protect one another, basically.
Right.
So they okayed it and put them all on one ship, and that didn't go too well.
No. And my father and his brother, after that law was passed, they separated them because they were on the same ship.
Oh, okay.
And I used to sit at my father's feet and listen to wonderful stories about going into port on leave, but we won't go into that. You know how brothers can be. But they separated them, and my father returned, at the war's end, a veteran. And my uncle, however, was on another destroyer, and that destroyer was lost at sea off the Florida coast, and it was never found.
Wow.
All hands. So I don't know if they notify family in that instance, or if it's just that's why the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is there, because they never found the ship. They never found any remains,
Wow.
no debris, anything.
Right.
And so this year, especially after what you revealed, Pastor, it just reminded me of that and makes me glad it's there. And when my father passed away in 1993, it just showed up one day. But our government remembered him and sent a flag folded in the triangular form in a plastic case for his funeral.
Amen.
Wow. Yes.
With a letter of recognition for his service
Right.
in World
Right.
War II.
Mm-hmm.
So there are still some remnants of glory and good things that we have in this nation.
That's right.
And
And
that's-
this just has to be one of them that we don't forget.
That's
And
right.
that's and some of the veterans don't realize that, especially the newer veterans. That is a right and an honor that our country bestows on all veterans to receive a flag. We can also have an honor guard
Absolutely.
Right.
salute to the fallen soldier.
That's right.
I think they contacted my mother to see if she wanted to have them do the honor guard,
Right.
and she declined. I think
Yeah.
she declined it.
They give you a little headstone too.
Right,
It's like a
right, but
5x10 headstone, something like that. It's real nice.
right,
though.
but it's a shame that we lost, or people have to die in order to have freedom.
Wow.
That's right.
Yep.
But I'm glad I live in a country where it's, as you said, Bill, after the word came back about the attack on Pearl Harbor, young men were running.
Yeah.
I mean, running to enlist. And from what my father told me, there were, of course, some young men who did not go
All right.
and enlist, and
Okay.
they were not well received.
No, they were.
not.
Right. Thank you, Sandy.
That's right.
Let's see if we got another one here going on. But why
Sandy, thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you
awesome
so much.
stuff.
Thank you.
All right.
Bless.
All right.
God
Thank
bless
You
you.
too,
you.
sweetie.
Thank you, Sandy.
Hey, look, we're right here on Facebook, and I wanted to say, Pastor Steve Norsworthy, he's the pastor at Stevens Creek Church. I believe it's called South Point Campus.
Yeah,
Used to be
okay.
the old Fleming Church of God.
Oh, wow, good
So
to
he's
have him on.
watching us. So
Oh.
hello, Steve.
And he's
Hey,
getting him on the
brother.
radio here with us.
That's right.
Yeah,
you need to
come
come
on.
on and join us at WCC 99.9.
Five brothers you were talking about, the Sullivan brothers, was George Sullivan, Francis, Joseph, Madison, and Albert, and was lost on the Jeannot is what it was, the battleship that went down. But one of the things I learned about just doing it real quick on Wikipedia here is that they're the only civilians who ever have been named. Two battleships were named after them,
Really?
called the Sullivans.
Wow.
Yeah, but because of their losing those five at one time.
You know what I thought
in
was so
that.
interesting that you told us about the O'Hare Airport.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
was pretty interesting.
So just real briefly, we got about 10 minutes. Listen here, won't you call on in at
803-335-3131.
it's your time to opine. That's the way I'm gonna say it from now on. He'll say chime in. I'm gonna say
Let us
opine.
know
Time
who
That
to
you-
means
opine.
Opine is opinion.
Yeah, let us know
Time
who
to
you-
opine. Go ahead and give us your
tribute.
opinion here. Tribute to someone who was lost during service
Yeah,
to
during
our country,
service.
Memorial Day. So anyway, we're talking about O'Hare Airport. I talked about that Sunday about how this one man was, he was going out to on his fighter with a group, and they were going out to fight the Japanese on this airplane. And what takes place is his airplane went topped off fuel, knew he couldn't make it, turned around to go back to the fleet that was there, saw all these Japanese fighters coming to attack the fleet unawares. He starts flying, shooting all his weapons, his 50 caliber machine guns, shoots so many of them down, runs out of bullets, starts swooping and diving and knocking airplanes out of the air. And they were so shocked that when he was able to limp back his own self,
He's hitting their wings and stuff, right?
He clipped their
wings.
clipped their wings and all this kind of stuff. And he landed. And when they pulled the video of what he had done, they realized, man, this guy's crazy. He is a war hero in what he had done, knocking down 5 of the Japanese airplanes and making them aware of that. The people back home would not forget what he had done because he was such a hero that they named the Chicago International Airport. O'Hare's Airport is named after
him.
the World War II
Wow.
hero. And if you don't know these type things, there you go. Like my wife says, I thought O'Hare was just a rich person.
Right.
That's
Someone
what
that-
they
with
named
her,
it.
I
Yeah,
did too,
just a-
right.
But
Someone
it
that
was
donated the land.
yeah.
for
I
them.
mean, this guy was a World War II hero. In that, so there's so many stories that are out there. So if you have someone you'd like to tribute
And-
here tonight, call in 803-335-3131.
Let me say this real quick.
Go right ahead.
The quality of Hollywood people back then was a lot different too.
Yes.
You take a war now, and I don't think anyone from Hollywood volunteered when we started fighting in Iraq or anything.
That's right.
But majority of our major stars were huge heroes during the war, and if they weren't fighting, they at least joined the USO and went over as that. So Jimmy Stewart, I know, was a war
That's right.
hero. And,
Jimmy Stewart was. That's right.
so.
A few more shout outs. Wendell Chavis Racing has joined us. Hey, Wendell.
All right.
Mason Bradley. Brian Finley's watching us.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Mike Grenade. Angela Egbert.
Man, Jello.
We got some people that tune in to us.
We
don't
do.
Right.
We do.
Good
Happy
stuff.
Memorial Day to everybody. Hope
That's
you had a
right.
great day today. This
Hope
is in
everybody
honor of
had a
all
good
those
day.
who's given their life for the service of our
Amen.
country to be
And
able to sit
I'm
here
just thankful to be able to come
be
out
able
here
to
to
do
this
this.
radio station and do this.
talk about Jesus freely. Huh?
That's right.
Talk about
That's
Jesus.
right.
You
Yes.
better while you can still do it.
You better do it.
While you
That's
can still,
right.
there are people who are dying right now, so that we can still do this.
And we've got this
Amen.
radio station here that's God's station.
That's right.
And we need people to be a part of it, a.k.a. Pastors out there that are listening.
That's right.
Our last segment is, I believe, is going to cover
Yeah.
taps.
There we go.
That's right. We're going to go ahead and
Now-
start that in just a
Yep.
minute.
Taps just it tears my heart up every
Ooh,
time. I
every
hear it.
time you hear it, they say that the first 3 notes, anybody is
Anybody
going to recognize exactly
recognize
what
it
that is.
when it first goes out.
Because I buried my father to that. I buried
Your uncle. and
every uncle I
stuff, yeah.
had. I just
Friend's dad, again, Lewis H. Wiles,
Mm-hmm.
when they did his funeral, he got the 21 gun salute. I mean,
Yep.
they did the 21
Yep. Mm-hmm.
gun salute. They did the bugle. It was a live bugler.
Yes.
It wasn't off of no CD
Right.
or anything.
Yeah.
It was a live bugler who did his. And I'm gonna tell you what, it was amazing because he'd been in so much service over there in Augusta. Because he'd been in the Augusta Police Department. He was in Columbia County for a long time. As a dispatcher, and worked there in Columbia County and served in law enforcement for a long time. That when he passed away, I thought it was the president. I'm talking about, I thought it was like the president. I mean, they stopped cars.
Right.
Hey,
On
Right.
I-20.
and
Right.
You hear what I'm saying?
And they
On
should've.
I-20.
Well, I'm telling you, one of
And
the
that,
one
you
of
know,
the
honored
things
him.
that gets to me when you play, like at Bill's daddy's funeral, they had a guy play taps live, but when they started folding that flag up off of his coffin
Yeah,
and brought it to the family,
yeah.
that gets me every time.
So let's do this segment right here
Okay.
about taps.
We'll end it up. We got about, what, 5 or 6 minutes?
We got this we want to show, and then we're going to play that as well.
I'll try
Here
to
we go.
turn this too so my Facebook family can see up on the TV screen.
I apologize to Facebook viewers.
Of all the military bugle calls, none is more easily recognized or more apt to render emotion than the bugle call taps. Once you start the first 3 notes, it's recognized anywhere in the world. Bugle calls have been used in the United States military ever since there's been a military. Actually, ever since there's been armies. In the Bible, it talks about great trumpet players at the head of a large army. Taps is a very important call because when it's sounded in the evening, it tells the soldier who's about to go to sleep that everything is safe and secure for the evening, that he doesn't have to worry about being attacked, that there are guards out there on the wall watching. The call is uniquely American, and almost everyone who hears it has an understanding. They've had someone in their family who served as in the military, so it's a very emotional call for them, especially at funerals. There are many myths and stories associated with the origin of taps. The most popular one is that of a Union captain who finds a wounded Confederate soldier on the battlefield, and it turns out to be his son. He brings the wounded soldier back behind lines, and in his pocket he finds some music. The young man unfortunately dies. In his pocket, the music that he found was the music for taps. Now, while this is a wonderful story that tells about how both sides of the Civil War were fought by family members, it's a myth. That wonderful story came about from Robert Ripley's Believe It or Not. Ripley had a television show. The show lasted for 13 episodes before it was pulled. On the last one, the story of the Union captain and his Confederate son appears. Ripley's biographer wrote that even by Rip standards, the story was just a little too far-fetched. The true story is that the call came about through General Daniel Butterfield. General Daniel Butterfield loved bugle calls. In fact, he had his own bugle calls made up for his own troops. Bugle calls were very important on the battlefield in that they directed troops which way to go. Sometimes in the confusion of battle, some troops would not know when a bugle would be sounding, was that our call or was that for another regiment? So Daniel Butterfield had calls made specifically for his troops. The original bugle call that General Daniel Butterfield didn't like derived from the French, as all the bugle calls in the United States military at the time, and it was the call for the lights out, and it sounded like this. And as you can tell, that's a very martial sounding call. Daniel Butterfield did not like that call, felt that it was just too formal. He wanted something a little smoother to reflect and evoke the emotion that he felt for his men. He was very proud of his brigade and felt that what they did for him was important, and he thought he would like to honor them by coming up with this new bugle call. And what he did was to find an old bugle call that had gone out of service just prior to the Civil War. He took the last 5½ measures and rearranged it. He called in his bugler, and together they came up with the new 24 notes we know today as taps. The call was first played in that July evening of 1862. The next morning, buglers approached Norton and asked him, "Where did you find that call? It's a wonderful new call." He then told them where he had gotten the call and furnished music. Pretty soon, the call was being used by the entire Union Army. The word taps itself is as interesting as the origin of the call. The word taps was at the beginning thought to be a derivation of the Dutch word taptoe. Now that means turn off the taps. Back during the 1500s, the sergeant major would take a drummer and go through the town beating the taptoe, signaling all the soldiers should return to the garrison for the final roll call of the day, but also indicating to the barkeepers that they should stop selling liquor to the soldiers. In other words, turning off the tap. Today, the word taps comes from the 3 drum taps that were played by a solitary drummer on the parade field to actually signal lights out when there wasn't a bugler available to sound the call. In the slang of the soldiers, it was just shortened to the taps instead of the drum taps. And then when the bugle started playing the taps we know today, soldiers naturally called the new piece that they heard in the evening taps. Taps probably got its most worldwide airing in 1963 at the funeral of President John F. Kennedy. It not only showed what funerals were like at Arlington, but gave an exposure of taps on live television throughout the world. I've sounded taps over 2,000 times at national cemeteries. I've sounded taps at private funerals. And I have been to funerals where the most hardened combat veteran, once you would start playing it, will start crying. It's always an emotional thing. For the family, it's their one time they're going to hear it. It sort of brings down the curtain on someone's life, and it brings a sense of closure to the family, that final piece of music as the veteran is laid to rest. Traditions are important, and sounding taps is the most sacred duty a bugler can perform.
All right, there you have it. That's the historian that was telling us of where taps came from, how it was formed. And we're really close to the end of our program. Bill, I'll get your last few moments here. Dana as well, and then we're going to do our taps.
I'm just very blessed to be a part of the program tonight, honoring our fallen, something that's very close to my heart. It's very near and dear, and I just appreciate, once again, this radio station for being able to provide this to our listening audience, and I feel very blessed to be a part of it.
That's right. And thank you for allowing us to be here. Thank you to all our Facebook family that was listening. Hope you enjoyed the program tonight as we honor our fallen heroes.
All right, here's our tribute. God bless you. Thank you for listening.